Hey guys, we're back working on the 1953 Monarch. I have a few parts I would like to get cleaned up and installed today. We've got our left-hand hood hinge because the one that's under here is broken, and we've got a couple of door hinges for the driver's door. I don't know if I explained this or not, but you can see we got a lot of play here. I recently picked up some part stores and they came with what seemed to be decent hinges. So let's get those cleaned up, kind of painted to match the car, and get them installed. Thanks for watching. First step for this little project is going to be getting these things cleaned up and get them kind of looking like they fit this car. I don't know how easy it's going to be to change this hood hinge. Looks to me like it possibly bolts in from outside the car here, which might mean this fender's got to come off to get at it. That is not an ideal situation for today, but let's get these parts all cleaned up and repainted. I'm not going to show you guys too much of that because standing in a wire wheel and going at it with a grinder is not that entertaining. But I will bring you back if I find something that is exciting that you need to be aware of, or bring you back when it's done. We'll see how it turns out. Well, I got the worst of the rust and the worst of the red paint off of these hinges, but this one, which I believe was the bottom hinge, I got it moving sort of. It is a little stiff. So I think what we're going to try and do is tap that pin out, and then we'll clean up the bushing. Make sure that everything's well lubricated, put it back together again, and the other side works good, the other hinge, but I wouldn't mind taking it apart and just putting some fresh grease in it so that we know that we're not going to be chewing up the bushing whenever we open the door. There we go, started. And that, you don't need to worry about that. That's for a future video. Coming soon, but not today. Haha, all the way out. And I sprayed a little bit of lube on it, and you can see that it's definitely worked its way in there. Now that we got that apart, let me take a wire wheel to those parts and get them cleaned up. And as I say, I think we're going to do the same thing to the other side. How easy this was to take apart, why not lubricate everything? Not necessarily perfect, and the paint is taking forever to dry today for some reason. Reasonably warm here in the garage, but definitely taking its sweet time about not being tacky. But we've got two hinges ready to go together. We've got the hood hinge dusted on, and the paint seems to be laying down really nice. I don't know why, but it is. It's just rattle can, Rust-Oleum, trim clad, whatever you want to call it. Seems to be doing a fairly decent job. I'm going to let this stuff dry for a while, and then we'll see if it gets untacky enough that we could start sticking it on the car. While we're waiting for the paint to dry on the hinges, let's get the rest of this taken apart. Hopefully it's going to cooperate. Of course, there's got to be one troublemaker. I think we need to look at this as well. Reaching in here, it is broken. There's a kind of a L at the end of it that keeps the door from opening too far, and it has popped. So if we can figure out a way to salvage that from the old door, and it is there, that would be the ideal thing. I suspect that should just be a pin of some sort that we can pop out. Worst case, it's a rivet that we can drill out, and then we can replace with a bolt or replace with some other kind of rivet. Let me take a look at the other door, see how that is put together, and then we'll see if we can convince this whole door to separate from the car. Again, 6 bolts should come off. Hopefully they come out as nice as the other ones did, because they look a little on the rusty side, and that could be a pain. You guys can probably see under there better than I can. It appears to be a rivet. I think we're going to have to do a little grinding, get it off of there, and pop it out. The other one in the parts door ended up having to go through this way into the door. There wasn't really a way to get it out of the door. So I think we'll have to grind that rivet out of there and probably end up putting a little bolt in there just to reattach things once we get to that point. I'm going to need both hands to do the grinding, so I'll shut the camera off and we'll come back when we're ready to continue with some disassembly here. Got the bar out. As you can see, it's kind of cracked at the end. And it's not just one crack. It's like we couldn't even bend that back into shape. We'd have to weld a whole bunch of things together. So it's good that we've got a spare one to put in. This kind of looks like it might be bent out just a little bit, which is going to let the door open too far. I don't know if that's doing much for us. Ooh. That would be the remnants of a door switch. That's something we'll have to fix. That's our dome light switch. Okay, the door should be able to come off of there now. I'm going to see if I can get like a milk crate or something out at this end just to support it. We'll start taking out those bolts. Hopefully they will cooperate. We'll get a door off and get some hinges extracted from the car. Cross fingers that we don't have any bolts that snap off. Kind of sort of held up in place here. Ooh, those hinges are yuck. Okay, let me get you guys on a stand and I'll start trying to buzz those bolts out of there. Hopefully things will go all right. Keep our fingers crossed. The top hinge doesn't appear to be in too bad a shape, other than it's been hyperextended a little bit. Give her a little tappy tap, get it back down. This one though, yeah. As much as I don't really want to, I think I'm going to leave this one in place. And my main reason for doing that is then we don't have as hard a time lining the door back up. This one is still in its original, or at least assumed original position. I would like to clean it up a little bit, maybe give it a little splash of that paint. Well, hopefully we can do that without painting the whole car. This one though, yeah, one of my spares is definitely going in there. Hopefully these 3 or 4 bolts that are down inside the pocket there will come out without too much difficulty, and then we can take that hinge out. Ooh, get a little bit of crispiness happening in that door. That's something we might have to fix at some point in the not too distant future. And I think we need to try and straighten some of this out a bit with a hammer. Let me take care of those little details and I'll bring you guys back. There's always got to be one troublemaker. Whether you guys can see it or not, the head of that bolt is kind of sort of rounded off and it won't come out of there. That is going to be a pain, but it's got to come out of there. I don't know how we're going to do this. Like I said, it's still tight. I think what we're going to have to do is get a drill and drill the head off that sucker. And then we're going to have to try and get the shank out of there. Because I really don't want to just have this door being held on by 3 bolts. Let me get some tools together. I'll see what I can do and I'll bring you back when I got an answer. Well guys, that didn't go too bad, all things considered. Could have been a lot worse. I was expecting this to basically take the rest of the day, and it really only took me about an hour to get out of there. I ended up drilling the head off of the bolt and then taking a carbide burr, cleaning up enough of the kind of washer surface that I was able to get the hinge out of there. And we'll take that in the garage and take it apart, just see how bad it is, but it looks pretty terrible to me. A little bit of cleanup left to do here with a vacuum cleaner, I think. We'll see if the paint's dried on one of those silly hinges that are taking forever to dry up in there, even though it's toasty warm in the garage. And hopefully we can start reassembly here. That would be nice. Of course, we could always take a little time and clean that hinge up too, because we're not going to change this. This is good and solid. Well guys, I just checked all of the parts that we have in the garage with fresh paint on them, and they are all still really sticky except for one, and that's the base plate that attaches to the pillar. But without the rest of the hinge pin, and all the bolts and everything that we need to bolt everything back together again, being dry, there's no point in attaching a base plate. So I think what we're going to have to do here, because daylight is becoming a bit of a premium around here these days, I think we're going to have to start doing some cleanup and come back at this in the morning. Until then, we'll see you then. Well guys, it is the next day. This has turned into a far bigger job than I was expecting it to be, but everything's finally dry. That was a bit of a challenge getting all of that paint to dry. I don't know whether you guys are actually able to see anything or not. The light bouncing off that almond colored paint. But I'm pretty happy with how everything's turned out here. The hood hinge, we're not going to get to this in today's video. This is going to have to be for another day. We'll get that door hinge and stop strap reinstalled and get the door back on the car. But I will warn you, there's a whole bunch of air molecules moving around out there. It is pretty windy today, so I don't know how much audio we're going to be able to record. Might have to do this as a bit of a time lapse. Add some music in so you can listen to something while I'm doing this reassembly. Okay, let's get at this. Put up a little bit of a fight. Had to turn the camera off because you guys wouldn't have been able to see anything around my head. We've got the door bolted back in. The door doesn't really adjust. It's mostly just the slots and the hinges. We didn't touch this top one. You know, it would have been nice to put the clean up hinge in, but with this being a decent hinge, there's an advantage to just leaving well enough alone and going with just replacing the bottom one. But now that we got a door hung, let's see what it looks like when we close it. Well, that's odd. The top looks like it needs to come out, and we didn't adjust the top. The bottom doesn't actually look that bad. Huh. Well, so much for not moving the top, making things easier. Hopefully we can convince those top bolts to come loose a little bit, move that out. As you can see, when we're opening and closing, it's tucking in behind the fender, and we don't want to either bend the door or the fender with that. Let me see if I can get that to move out just a little bit, and then we'll tackle getting the retention strap back in place. We are out as far as we can get at the top. This door gap is pretty tight, but maybe the fender can move forward a little bit at some point if I ever decide to reset that. The door does open and close better though. It's still not latching because this is completely worn out in here, but that's for another day. We are opening and closing. I'm thinking this bottom, I'm going to bring it out just a little bit. There is a bit of a hook there. Fairly flush here, and there's a step here, but this, as I say, is kind of, we didn't change this, and other than if we brought the door up just a hair maybe, but I don't know that that's really going to help any. And this step is the same as what's on the other side of the car, so I'm not too worried about it. It's a 1950s Ford. It's not necessarily going to have, Cadillac level panel fitment here. Plus, as you can see, things are a little shaky when we slam the door, because we do have a little bit of Swiss cheese to work with here. That's for another day. Let me kick this bottom hinge out just a hair. We'll see if we can get the bottom of the door fitting just a bit better, but if we can't, I'm perfectly satisfied with where we're at right now. Just a little bit of a kick out, and now the door seems to clear the fender. I wish it would latch, but that's another day's problem. Now we need to get this retainer strap installed, and that's going to be down inside the door there. I think push it in from the inside, comes out here and attaches there. I've got a stainless bolt that we're going to put through instead of the rivet that was there, and we'll see how that goes. It's not really something that I can see, so I don't think there's any way that you guys are going to be able to see it. Let me get that put together and we'll come back and basically see how everything turned out. Well guys, we're back together. Doesn't feel like the door is falling off when we open it now. That's a good step. The paint I used, it doesn't blend in perfectly with the factory original, but close enough. The door hinge works great. That paint taking so long to dry yesterday really slowed things down. I was hoping to get some progress made on that hood hinge as well in this video, but we just ran out of time. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to watch the video. If you got this far, can you give me a thumb up? Give me one of those likes. Greatly appreciated. If you haven't already done so, consider subscribing to Doug's Messy Garage. It doesn't cost you anything, and it helps my channel grow, get out to more people. A lot more likely to see when I post new content. If you want to be sure that you see when I post new content, you can ring that bell icon, and then YouTube will send you a notification. We'll catch you guys in the next mess. Thanks for watching.